Hello, everyone. This is Lexicon coming at you with another Budget Commander deck list. Today, we're going to be looking at uh, a type or tribe that I've never tried out before, and we're going to be doing bats. So, I was kind of on the fence on what commander to run because there's another commander that does stuff for vampires as well as bats, but I did not want to try to split the creature base between vampires and bats. I wanted to do strictly bats. So I thought my chaos would be the good option here because it does have Intimidate. And if you don't know what Intimidate does, basically, whenever you attack with a creature that has Intimidate, target opponent cannot block unless they share a creature or an artifact with the same mana symbol as the commander. So they would have to block with a black creature or a black artifact creature or whatever. So it has another cool built-in ability that says whenever a human deals combat damage to you, destroy it. And then other non-humans you control get +1/+1 if I'm dying. So this will boost our bats, and if a bat dies that didn't have a 1/1 counter on it, it comes back to the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. So let's get into the creature base. We play Adaptive Automaton because it's a 3 colorless for 2/2 that basically says when the ETB choose a creature type, which will be bat. It is also a bat itself, and other creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. So this is a 3-mana lord for us. Bat Whisperer is a 4-mana 4/2 that whenever it enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, you create a 1/1 bat creature token with flying. Excuse me, sorry. Then we have Blightkeeper. It's a 1-mana 1/1 flyer. Why not? With 8, where we can sacrifice it to force an opponent to lose 4 life. You gain 4 life. Then we play Blighted Bat, which is a 3-mana 2/1 with flying. That if we pay 1, it gains haste until the end of the turn. So if we have access to 4 mana or more, we can bring this in and give it haste until the end of the turn. We're playing Blood Artist because why not? Or an opponent's creature dies, target player will lose a life and you gain a life. Then we play Blood Hunter Bat. It's a 4-mana 2/2 with flying that says when it ETBs, target player loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. Bloodlane Pretender is a 3-mana 2/2 with Changeling, so it is a bat and every other creature type. And then when it ETBs, we choose a creature type, and then whenever another creature of that type enters the battlefield under your control, you put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Then we're playing a 5-mana Changeling that is a 4/4, and then it says as long as a creature with flying is in a graveyard, it gains flying, and the same is true for fear, first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, landwalk, lifelink, protection, reach, trample, shroud, and vigilance. Then we have our 1-mana Changeling that cannot be blocked and it can't block and cannot be blocked. Then we're playing a 3-mana 2/2 flyer named Courier Bat that says whenever it ETBs, if you gain life this turn, return up to 1 target creature from your graveyard to your hand. So this is good. This can get back bats if we gain life or whatever creature you want to grab from the drop. Then we have Dusk Hunter Bat for 2-mana 1/1 with Bloodthirst and flying. So Bloodthirst works if an opponent was dealt damage this turn, so you will have to play this in your second main. This creature enters with a 1/1 counter on it, so it's a 2-mana 2/2 with flying basically. We play Fellstinger just to exploit and to draw 2 cards again and lose 2 life. Or I've seen plays in Standard and other games where you can win the game if your opponent is at 2 or less life and you exploit and then you force them to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Foundry Screech is a 3-mana 2/1 with flying that says it gives +1/+0 as long as you control an artifact. Then we're playing Ghastly Gloom Hunter, a 2-mana 1/1 with kicker 4, so you would have to pay 6. But it already has flying and lifelink, and then if it was kicked, it enters with 2 additional 1/1s. So it'll be a 3/3 with flying and lifelink for 6. Gray, because this is just beneficial to us to gain a bunch of life, get back in the game, drain our opponents. Grim Claw Bats is a 2-mana 1/1 flyer that we can pay 1 life and 1 black to give it +1/+1 until the end of the turn. Gurmaz Swiftling, it's basically a 1/2 with flying, first strike, and haste. We play Henrika Domnathi. It is a vampire, but it has 3 abilities. Either each player sacrifices a creature, you draw a card, you lose a life, or you transform her. And then on the flip side, she's a 3/4 flying Death Touch lifelink, where you can pay 3 mana to give each creature you control with flying, Death Touch, and or lifelink +1 until the end of the turn. Then we play Malikar Familiar, a 3 mana 2/1 with flying and Death Touch, and whenever you gain life, it gets +1/+1 to the end of the turn. Then we're also playing Metallic Mimic because it's a good 2 mana 1/1 that you obviously will choose Bat, and then each creature of your chosen type enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1. Then we're playing this new card from Lord of the Rings. It's a 4 mana 2/3 flying that says whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses a life. Then we're going to be playing Skeletal Vampire for 6 mana. It is not a bat, but when it ETBs, it does make 2 1/1 bat creature tokens. And then for 5 mana, you can sacrifice a bat to make 2 bats instead. And then you can sacrifice a bat to regenerate Skeleton Vampire. Then we're also playing Species Specialist. It's a 4 mana human warrior 2/3. When ATBs, you choose a creature type, again, which will be bat. And then whenever a creature type of the chosen type dies, you may draw a card. We play Sturge. It's a 1 mana 1 with flying that cannot block. But if you do Blood Drain, you pay 2, pay 1 life, sacrifice it, draw a card. Then we're playing Vampire Bats. It's a very old card, but it's a 0/1 with flying. You may pay any amount of black to give it +1/+0 to the end of the turn. Well, you can only do it twice. You cannot spend more than 2 mana in this way each turn. 2/1 for 2 mana. Then we're playing Vampire Nighthawk. It is not a bat, but it does have flying, Death Touch, and lifelink. And then finally, we play Voldaren Bloodcaster. It's a 2 mana 2/1 with flying. And then whenever it or another non-token creature you control dies, you create a blood token. And whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more, you can transform her. And then basically what she is, she's a 3/3 fire. At the beginning of combat, you may up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 bat creature with flying and haste in addition to its other types. As far as our sorceries, we're going to be playing Crippling Fear as removal, Feed the Swarm as removal, Night's Whisper as draw, Pact of the Serpent to draw, Breathe the Bones to draw, and Silent Blood to draw. And then for instance, we're playing Blood Pact to draw 2 cards for us, lose 2 life, Dark Ritual to add 3 black to our mana pool, Deadly Dispute to sacrifice a creature or artifact to draw 2 and create 2 treasures, Defile for removal, Go for the Throat for removal, Infernal Grasp for removal, Tragic Slip for removal, Village Rites to draw, and then Vona's Hunger is pretty cool because it's a 3 mana ascent. So if we have City's Blessing, each opponent sacrifices a creature, and if you have City Blessing, instead each opponent sacrifices half the number of the creatures he controls rounded up, he or she. And then for artifacts, we're playing the typical general of the mill, but there are a few of them that I want to discuss. We're going to be playing Coat of Arms. Each creature gets 1/1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares a creature type. This also does work for your opponent, but if they're not playing tribal, you're fine. We're playing Bantu's Monument because black spells cost one less. And then whenever we cast a creature spell, each opponent will lose a life, we gain a life. We are playing Desecrated Tomb. So whenever one or more creature cards leave our graveyard, we create a 1/1 black creature token with flying. We are also playing Door of Destinies, which when the ETBs, we choose a creature type bat, and then whenever we cast a spell of that creature type, put a charge counter on it, and creatures you control of that chosen type get +1/+1 for each one. Then we're also playing another similar ability in Path in Icon of Ancestry. So when the ETBs choose a creature type, and then creatures you control of that chosen type get +1/+1. And then for 3 mana, you may look at the top 3, and then you may reveal a creature card that shares a type with the one that you chose, and you may put that in your hand, the rest on the bottom. Then we're also playing Herald's Horn, which is a 3 mana artifact that says choose a creature type when the ETBs. Each creature type of that type costs 1 less to cast. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. Then we're also playing Obelisk of Erd. It has Convoke, and as it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type, and then creature types of that chosen type get +2/+2. Then we are also playing Skull Clamp to equip to a creature, and if that creature dies, you will draw 2 cards. We're playing Sword of the Animus to get lands out of our deck. If we equip it to a creature, we attack, we get a land. Then we play Vanquish's Bannerer, choose bats for 5, and then creatures you control get +1/+1. And then whenever we cast a creature spell of the chosen type, we draw a card. And then finally, I wanted to give this deck some lifelink. So Whip of Erebos will give us lifelink. And for 4 mana, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. If it will leave the battlefield, exile it anywhere. Exile instead of putting it into anywhere else. Activate this ability anytime you can cast a sorcery. And that's the artifacts for the deck. As far as enchantments, we're going to be playing Bad Moon to pump our creatures, and then Phyrexian Arena to draw extra cards, Castle the Lock Lane to be able to draw a card based on, and then lose life based on the number of cards you hand, and then 34 Swamps. And that's the deck. We curve out at 2, and we curve out at 3. And this deck is going to run you about 170 to 175, depending on where you get your cards. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this deck tech. It will be uploaded to YouTube shortly, along with all my social media links. If you can subscribe, that would be great. If you don't want to, it's okay. Either a like or a comment will go a long way. So I hope you have a good day, and take care.